at the numbers, we're seeing that a good number, around 13 to 15 currently, it's a current number, of the population that is in the workforce are greater than or age more than 65, currently in the workforce. And this number was in 2019, before the pandemic, in the US, was 24%. If you think about it, that's a quarter of our population working with us. And we call it greater than 65. That's why we like the term experienced workforce. And this is not working again. Okay. But also, we have a changing workforce as well. We have the number of 65, which is looking for work, has doubled since 1985. Is that new? It was news to me. That's a lot to say in matter of 30 to 40 years. We're seeing double people wanting to work more. Makes us question why. And we're seeing that, and by 2030, 14% of global workforce, which is around 375 million workers, may need to switch occupational categories. So now we're not talking about only an experienced workforce, but a changing workforce from an age perspective and from a capability perspective. But also, we have a generational difference. We have the Gen Y, millennials, that makes up right now 75% of the global workforce. Who are they? These are people that went through training, degrees, knowledge. They wanted to do better. They look for flexibility. They appreciate development. They appreciate training. And per a study done, they do have poor decision-making skills and strong sense of settlement. That's not my viewpoint. This is a search I found. Now come the Gen Z. They are more computerized. All they've seen is a touch screen. But they look for less hierarchy in the organization because they're by nature fast-moving. So it made me think about what's happening. Sorry. Okay. So I reflected back in just one slide. What's going on? We have definitely demographic challenges. Now I am talking about my industry, which is a chemical industry, and particularly in supply chain these days. We're seeing across the world higher, greater life expectancy, thanks to the all the new innovations in the medical fields. But we're seeing an aging population, and if you reflect in many areas of the world today, this is the number one problem that's not affecting the workforce, but also their economy, which leads to global migration, which also being perceived in different ways in different parts of the world. This is a reality. We have those right now. Are we ready for that? Have we been ready for that? And what are we doing about it? That's the question. So we need, as an organization, to fill the gaps that we're seeing. Let's reflect back. If I look what I do every day personally, most of my days I spend it with people making decisions. Think about it. We do 50 to 60% of our days is making decisions. And making decisions these days is not just making the right decision, hoping to make the right decision, but making the decision fast enough because we cannot afford delays anymore. The bar is getting higher and higher that we have to move fast. So we feel that we need to equip ourselves with the right tools to make these decisions. An easy route is to reach out to the older generations, the experienced generations of colleagues, to say, come join me, because I need your expertise in making decisions. Great. Well, but at the same time, in that meeting room, I have up to 5 generations sitting in one table to make that decision. 5 generations sitting and making a decision. What do you see there? You see the experienced generations that are more structured, appreciate reliability more. They do tend to think twice before suggesting something. They're very motivated to share their knowledge, and they're very eager to share their knowledge. And you have a generation coming in, especially the very new generation that passed through COVID when they were in college and coming into the workforce right now, thinking about how can I make that through a screen? So, and you are sitting there and looking at that and wondering what's the best way of doing it. What do you do about it? So definitely, having an organization culturally able to grasp and embrace all these generations is number one importance. Number two, do we have the right communications channels between these generations? Number three, are we accepting that the unretirement is nowadays a norm? The data is showing that. But are we accepting it? Because we need it. We feel that we don't need it, but we actually do because we're making decisions, and these decisions require that our experienced workforce joining us. But this is not easy, because now we're talking about management of change. So as a person sitting in that room, hoping to make a decision, I need to think, am I giving all these generations the right tools? Number one, am I asking me as a manager sitting making that decision, am I qualified? Am I trained to deal with a diverse workforce? To understand the diversity of the workforce? So are we giving our first-line managers enough training, knowledge to deal with that gap of generations? That's the number one question. Number two is our workforce, is our culture, is our workplace able to understand the older generation's needs? These people have, as we get older, we need more medical care, we need to be more, we have more flexibility, we have more people to take care of at home. So are we giving them that opportunity? And if not, that creates an anxiety among these colleagues, which affects my decision making. At the same time, you have the Gen Y that's wanting to know more, to go through the right channels of being leaders and being better and better, and are we giving them the tools to do that? And we have the newer generation that coming that's also anxious because they're seeing, oh, jobs are getting replaced, and AI is there, and automation is taking my job, and there's a lot of questions that we are not fully answering because we don't fully understand it yet. So now, that meeting room, instead of making decisions, it's becoming a place where all these are anxious for different reasons. So easing that anxiety helps me make better decisions and helps me move toward the business goals that I need to move toward. So the tools, the common denominator tool among all of them is why we're here today, is training. That's the common denominator. Because if I tell my Gen Z, the new people, that, you know what, AI is not here to take your job. It's here to reshape your job. It's here to make the autonomy you're looking for more more easy to get. If I answer their concern by upskilling them, maybe by reskilling them, then they will be more contributor to my meeting. And at the same time, if I go and ensure that the culture that I have in the organization embrace the older generation, tailor their needs, talk to them, understand their need, and train them. Because training should not be based on, you're new, you have to be trained. You're not new, you don't have to be trained. If our training is tailored just on a generation base, that's a problem. It should be tailored based on needs. So now we have, I would say, cheap ways to deal with that. Creating a culture, embracing them, making them all inclusive, making sure that they talk to each other, and train them. This doesn't require major capital, it requires a mindset change. So that's the challenge that we're seeing today. We're seeing a challenge of making decisions, moving quicker in making decisions, and therefore there is something that we need to do. So it's in our hands as organizations to make that happen. Either we choose to keep that anxiety in the room, or we choose to remove it through tools, which is number one, training, and let that happen much smoothly. So that's really what I want to share, because I just wanted to reflect what I'm seeing on a daily basis. And now I would like to open the floor to hear your thoughts on that. What you're seeing in your organization, or what you're doing in your organization, so that we can all learn from each other and get something out of this summit. For that reason, we kind of put together a few questions so that hopefully they will give you something to think about. So some of the questions will be multiple choice, and I think there is a tool, Mentimeter, I guess it is?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll put up some directions up on the screen. Elias is gonna ask some questions. There'll be a QR code. So if you can take your phone, scan the QR code, and we'll go ahead and proceed with the questions and get your feedback. That's where we really learn when you engage and answer. So if the QR code is not working, you can also go to this website.
Awesome, thank you. So yeah, the idea is to go through some questions, gather some data from the meeting today, and also hear from you. So hopefully now you can get your thoughts shared with us. So whenever we're ready, we can go to the first question.
It might be loading up a little bit slow. I think the self-service for some people is a little bit spotty. So
Are we having success logging in? We'll give a few minutes for everybody to get there. Yeah, if you're looking for the Wi-Fi code, it's on the agenda, on the bottom of the agenda. Cell service is pretty bad in here.
if you do want to connect to the Wi-Fi, it's capital SSHR25. Oh, is it on there?
Hey, Elias, I have a comment.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a comment since we're waiting for this to load
Sure.
up. One is I think there is a need for generational training, like education on the different generations. But what I've seen at our site is we bring in a class, they're usually younger, so we take these Gen Zs and then we assign them trainers that are baby boomers. And so now you got a trainer that says, just be glad you got a job, training somebody that says, I want choices. And so
That's a good,
I see there's a big gap there sometimes that the actual new hire is really
Right.
good, but there's a
And thank you, David. That's exactly true because, as I said earlier, are we training our people that are managers, trainers, in charge of that training program? Are we training them to deal with the generation gap? I think we don't do enough on that. And we need to address it here in our industry because it's a gap. It is a gap. And thank you for sharing that. First question. What are some of the approaches your company takes to capture, retain the skills of experienced workers? You hire them back, you interview them and document their knowledge, you place the experienced worker on a special assignment so they can document their knowledge, or you promote them to supervisors. Oh, that's pretty cool. Didn't see that before. That's you. Is that the count on the bottom? Okay. I think 20 more, 18.
Hey, Ryan, why don't we get some feedback from the tables?
Yeah. So maybe I'd like to ask those who said they promoting them to supervisors, which is so far the biggest one, why you chose that, and tell me more about it. Any volunteer? Why do you think promoting them to supervisors would be a good fit, or how is that helping you?
Well, I can't talk from the company side. I was the operator for 12 years that got promoted to supervisor. So at the end of the day, the thought was, you know, in the industry, in the new age that we are, commitment isn't there. It's not about long-term job security. It's not about staying with one individual company, in my generation at least, the millennials. It's about seeking the next paycheck or what benefits me the most. And so from the company's perspective, at least from what I understood, is promote for the job security, give them that promotion, let's try and lock them in and try and retain that experience to prevent the competition.
So you're saying giving them that supervisory role, lock them in, secure their job so that they will be, you're seeking long-term commitment from them.
Correct, yes, sir. In my circumstance specifically, I was going to go to Chevron Phillips. I got a job opportunity and it turned into a promotion.
And what your name is?
Patrick.
Patrick, thank you, Patrick. Who sees that happening also in their industries as well, where we try to lock people in a position so that we retain them? Do you see that? I'm curious.
Thanks. So I think that's a really good question, and I put D because that's what I see in our company, and I'm kind of looking at it from the outside. My job is sort of new products, change, all that sort of good stuff. But it was interesting about B and C because we always talk about that, and I just, you know, from what I've seen, I don't see a lot of it really being effective. And we've actually started using AI to do B and C now, try to capture that knowledge and sort of use it. So so I guess I was kind of interested that my experience was that in our company, D is what I see happening, B and C is what I think we'd like to see happening, but it's very challenging for us. So I'm really kind of interested to learn how we do that, how we do B and C. So that's really what I wanted to sort of comment on. Thank you.
Thank you. And do you feel it's working?
Well, I think we've started with it. I think getting it to happen, and the AI is kind of new at the moment, but capturing that knowledge has been the challenge for the reason that you've outlined earlier about the aging people leaving with many years of experience, and that experience not being translated to the new people. So I just think it's a big challenge, and I think that really communication and some of the new tools that we have in the future might really help us. But again, I always see D, and it's always difficult because it's not, and I don't think it's just because that's what happens, but I think systems are set up that if someone's good, they don't get the recognition, they don't get the rewards by saying, hey, you're a great operator, stay in that position. What they want to do is, they want some recognition and some reward that way. But companies reward people by promoting them and putting them in different positions in which maybe they're not as good. Mm-hmm. And so the value for that, I think, all round doesn't really help either the person or the company.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'm interested one more thought about hiring them back, which is somehow where we talked about the unretirement earlier. Any thoughts on that would like to share with us?
I picked A. We hire a lot of them back as consultants. Maybe not for the company, but they're contract consultants, and to get their knowledge. It works. Is it the best way? No, it's not. I think B and C is where we need to be. We do D also, which I think is sometimes it's good. We promote the best operators to supervisors, but there are a lot of them that are not good supervisors, and that's really not where they should be. But we need to reward them. We need to keep them, and that's the way we can reward them. Mm-hmm. I will say that Voovio captures B and C also, and we do some of that also.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. All right, let's go to the next question. What are some of the approaches your company takes to transfer experienced workers' knowledge? You promote a culture of knowledge exchange and cross-training, which we talked about. You have a library or shared files in place where new hires have access to process information, incidents, troubleshooting guidelines, procedures, whatever. Have the skilled workers train via OJT the new workers. Rely solely on AI automation. Should have some music with it. It's very interesting what we're saying here. Give it a few more seconds. All right, well, I'm gonna ask that question. Why nobody picked D? Why do you think D is not there yet? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. So any volunteer?
All right here in the middle. And if you can, please say your name and what company you're with.
I'm Elisabetta Signa. I work for Palladio. Now we are small, but we are growing a lot, and we are using a lot of automation. But I think the word that bothered us there is the solely. That's the word that bothered.
Do you see us going there soon?
Yes, we actually have lots of that, and we work with that, and we We are implementing also lots of that areas,
Okay.
but we don't rely solely on
solely on
that.
Thank you for sharing.
Hi, I'm Maria. I'm with Stepan Company. We're in chemical manufacturing. And so this is, we did not pick D because at this point, to reiterate what the previous speaker said, we're slowly adopting AI. We're very cautious about it, and also AI at this point is unreliable. So the garbage in, garbage out, if there's, I hope that everyone here who uses AI, make sure you read it carefully and don't just spit out what AI has told you, because it will have responses that are incorrect or misleading, etc. So you cannot rely solely on AI automation to do this work. However, I selected B as something that my team and I are working on, as this library of shared files, because when I joined the company 3.5 years ago, we had this drive and that drive and this system and that system and this spreadsheet and that spreadsheet. And, for somebody who is coming in as a new employee, it is very difficult to remember, where do I go for this and where do I go for that and what's my password for this. So this shared file platform, honestly, we're using SharePoint, which is a free. It's not, part of our Microsoft license. We're building a manufacturing training hub and trying to compile and aggregate all of the disparate systems and places and files. And so we're trying to make it a more user-friendly experience. And then after that has been built out, my dream and goal is to have an AI chatbot for that platform, so that employees can type in to the SharePoint site and say, hey, what is our, how many reactors of this do we have? And then it would be able to reliably spit out that information. So that is the hope and the dream.
Thank you, Maria, for sharing what you're doing and why you picked that. Appreciate it. I'd like to get one more person to talk about A, which is the cultural piece of things. Anyone would like to elaborate more on A and why we choose A?
Okay. Okay, me again. We chose the promote a culture of knowledge and exchange and cross-training because there are lots of moving pieces in what we do. And yes, I was talking about automation before, but we don't live in a still world. Our plants changes, our process changes, our ways of working changes to a better way of working, possibly. Then what happens? All what we have doesn't go as fast. The documentation, the systems, the beautiful trainings, the slide packages, they're always a little bit behind where we wanted them to be. So this is why we need a very strong people impact and a people information exchange, knowledge. Somebody that goes there, hey, listen, this is how it goes. This is why you have to hammer there and not there, because perhaps that pipe in 2 months' time is not there anymore. We have changed to a better pipe, a new pipe, a different pipe. And this is what makes the difference, that we still, this is our belief, need to promote this culture.
Thank you. Very good point, especially when we talk about feeding our automation with the data. What kind of data? And I'm glad to see that we're still relying on people to feed that data and what's happening across the board.
People and culture.
Absolutely.
That culture is the bedrock. I'm really curious to hear from somebody that answered number C.
Awesome.
Letter C.
Let's see.
Oh, we got a few, so.
Will Least from Ergon Refining. I chose C, especially in our operations department and even in our lab and maintenance departments. We usually have new operators come in, and they're training under the operators that are performing the task. We have, we have lead operators within the refinery too that are checking in with them, making sure they're learning the right things and the proper way of doing things. That's a good tool we use, Voovio, for that too, just to walk people through procedures. But having the skilled worker there and their stories that they can tell and just the different, this is the right way of doing something. Don't do it this way because this could happen. I think that's a huge piece in helping people. Because I know when I was an operator out in the field, a guy told me about a valve that got left open one time, and they put the wrong product in a tank. Well, that stuck with me forever, and I never made that mistake. So I would even pass that down to the new people I trained. I'd say the only negative to that is sometimes for our new hires, they end up training with guys that hadn't been there very long. So we try to mitigate that with our lead operators and make sure they're getting experienced people to help them and move them up through the ranks. I kind of bounce between C and A because we do promote a culture of knowledge exchange and cross-training. The big way we do that is, a guy that's hired in may, as he's training up, he may take an interest in one of the other progressions. What we call our progressions is we have, a crude unit, we have a hydroprocessing unit, we have a propane deasphalting unit, and they can kind of choose the path that they want to go on as they cross-train. And it gives them an opportunity to see different types of, process equipment, different types of exchangers, distillation columns, just they can see a whole lot more and understand the workings of the plant and how the plant works as a whole.
Thank you. I love how you put the storytelling piece into the whole equation, which is what's training? It's just telling another story that happened before, right? Thank you so much.
Another comment over here.
Thank you for managing the time because I don't have the time with me. So, awesome.
Hi, Craig Cook with Incorix. We chose, or I chose B and C, and the basis of what we've done for years is having the skilled workers train new hires and excuse me, and just basically OJT, just having them show them the ropes, work them through the units, and show them how things are done. But since then, we've incorporated things like SharePoint, and we have that library of shared files that we use as a resource. And so since I've came from operations to take on the task of a operations specialist, and now I'm responsible for operator training, to where I take, and so now I've incorporated both of those things into the training programs for our operator worksheet, or our operator training checklists. Now reference all of these shared files that we've uploaded into SharePoint and things, and give links to those to where they have this way to where they have this resource library that they can pull from, and to kind of doing a lot of the work for them, because a lot of the shift leaders and stuff that are responsible for the daily training, they don't necessarily, not as technologically inclined or whatever, just to have those resources available to them. And so we've done that with the operator worksheets, and then they all work the DuPont schedule, so every 4 weeks they come back and see me, and we just do monthly evaluations and progress from there. So I think for me, yeah, the combination of those two, I think, is what we've done best for us. So.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Sorry, I don't want to miss anybody's opportunity here.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Jerry. I'm with Advanced 6, chemical manufacturer. All in on C. It seems it's the easiest thing to do for management. First of all, it seems like it's the easiest thing to do is just put a new hire. This experienced operator knows what they're doing. The challenges that we have, though, and around, I think, in the industry, is that you assume that those operators that you're putting them with, the experienced operators, are good trainers. And that's definitely something that we struggle with and try to come up with ways to try to coach our trainers, the experienced folks that are out there. You know, a lot of assumptions are made. They've been there 20, 30 years, and a new operator comes in, even just the terminology and the lingo that's used, and there's just a lot of assumptions that folks already know that coming in. And I think they expect a level of performance from new hires too. So it can be difficult. The trainers get frustrated. So it's almost kind of got to learn a little bit about psychology to try to work with the trainers and, you know, get out of this presentation mode and, you know, trying to knowledge check back. So, I mean, it seems like an easy thing, you know, just put them with the most experienced person. But again, it's the challenges that are out there. It's good. You want them to gain that knowledge, but it's not always consistent. You know, some of the trainers also, they always like to talk about, you know, maybe one favorite thing that they know most about. And then you don't necessarily get the full knowledge transfer for everything else in the job that they got to learn on, right? So it's inconsistency, you know, training those trainers and, you know, making them skilled to, you know, be able to get that knowledge transfer. Definitely challenging.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. I'd like to take a minute to say thank you, Voovio, for getting us all together in this room to talk about these things. Well, much needed, and have a great summit.
Thank you, Elias.